Hello there, Andre here from Peak Motorcycles. It's been quite a busy week, so I thought I'd do another quick news update. Today is the 3rd of May 2021. So last week I had a great day on Tuesday with the guys at Moto Junkies, and they're in England but over on the west side, very close to the border with Wales. So I took my CRF300 Rally and did a day with them, just really sort of they call it a train for trails day, but it's just really useful for me who's a relative novice at riding off-road. I mean, it's not really off-road, they're all legal byways in the UK, they're not surfaced roads. In the morning it was just some basic instruction really around body position, control position, and then a bit of riding around a track before we set off, and we did I think 4 or 5 hours trail riding in the afternoon. A really useful way to learn. If you've got a CRF300, a Rally or an L, it's a great way to try it out. If you want to try one of the bikes, they also have higher bikes there that are CRF300Ls. I think next week or in a few weeks time they're also getting some Royal Enfield Himalayans as well. So if you want to give one of those a try, I'm sure they could sort you out with one of those. It was a really interesting day, and I took it as a good opportunity to pick the brain of Tony, who has ridden a few Enduros in his time and seemed to know what he was talking about. So I thought it would be a good opportunity to try and get a few questions answered. I know whenever you ask a question on the internet, you get all sorts of answers that come back. Quite often they're completely opposing. So it really wasn't to have a big discussion about it. It was I didn't really have an opinion on most of these things. I just wanted to get his take. The first thing I asked him about was about tyres. It wasn't I think these tyres are better than those. It was more of describing the sort of riding that I'd be doing to see what he suggested, and his recommendation to me for riding in the Peak District on my CRF300 Rally was to try the Michelin trackers. So I think when the stock IRCs wear out on my bike, that's what I'll be getting. I think on the front there's a choice of a 9090 or an 80-100, and I think the 9090 will turn in quicker, and then for the rear it would probably be a 120-90. So that's something to check out once I get through my first set of tyres. The next thing he mentioned was around punctures and what to be aware of. So not running the pressures too low, to switch over to heavy duty tubes, but not the ultra heavy duty. So I think the heavy duty ones are the 2mm tubes and the ultra heavy duty are 4mm. The 4mm tubes are just really heavy themselves, and the bike is already heavy enough. So I think that'll be another change that I do. I'm not looking to do it immediately, but I will be looking to change it as and when the current ones wear out, or maybe when I change the tyres. Another suggestion he made was to install rim locks. So there are already the holes in the rims to fit them. So I'll probably do that at the same time too. That should take care of the tyres. One thing I did think of was just to check what he thought about tyre pressures. I think they come from the dealer as 22 psi front and rear. I'd been running 18 front and rear, which did seem to be working better for me off-road, and his suggestion was to run 21 psi at the front, 18 psi at the rear, so that's what I've had set up for the ride I did at the weekend, and it seemed to be fine. I was also a bit worried about having a trail side puncture, so I actually installed some slime inside the tubes before I went and did my ride at the weekend, and I'll have a video for that available shortly. So that was kind of it for that. I asked him about exhausts, whether it was worth the weight saving. He suggested probably not, and if I was going to make an investment, I should probably do it in the suspension. I'm still managing to bottom out the suspension a lot, so I think that's definitely something that's on the cards. I'll probably talk about that more next week when I've had a better chance to go through all the options, because there really are quite a few, certainly for the CRF300L. For the Rally there really aren't as many. I've spoken to a few suspension manufacturers to see if any have got any that are on the way, and it is looking a little bit quiet, but there's a few local suspension suppliers who I'll be speaking to this week to see if they can put something together for me for the Rally. The suspension's another thing. Also lithium-ion battery, so currently I'm just running the standard one. I think there is quite a big weight saving. I think it's like 2 or 3 kilos that you save by switching. So I think I'll probably be looking to do that at some point in the coming weeks. So that was kind of it from the Moto Junkies day. It was really good. I'll be looking forward to going back and doing level 2 with them later in the year. They also do glamping weekends. There's one of those coming up at the end of May, and just loads of stuff on the website. I'll put the URL in the description for this video. But if you're in the UK and you're within reach of the England-Welsh border near Welshpool, then they're definitely worth looking up. Of the other guys who were there on the day, there was one chap who had ridden up from Somerset on his XT660. So yeah, there's people travelling far and wide to spend the day with him. It was really fun. Okay, so the next thing I wanted to talk about was the videos. So when I did my news update last week, I mentioned that I was going to try and do 2 a week, and they would be Friday evening and Sunday evening. I managed to stick to that this week. I think I have enough content to do next Friday and Sunday as well. What I did find as well was that there's a few small jobs that I've been doing that it's barely worth doing a video for. So one of which was actually putting the slime inside the inner tubes, and the other was to fit a lifting strap to the back of the bike. So rather than use one of those like a 5-minute video for the weekend, when I have one of those videos, I'll look at putting it out on a Wednesday evening. They'll always be short, I think maybe 4, 5, 6 minutes tops, and normally just on a very simple topic that might just be something that people want to dip in midweek. So yeah, I have at least 2 weeks, probably 3 or 4 weeks of those to go, so we'll see how the time goes and if I manage to pull all of those together. The last thing I wanted to give you an update on was I mentioned that I might be at the ABR Festival that's taking place at Ragley Hall in the UK in June. I think it's the weekend from the 25th to the 27th of June. So I'll be there with my CRF300 Rally. The lovely people over at Enduristan were kind enough to sort me out with an exhibitor's ticket in exchange for having my bike on the Enduristan stand. So I won't be riding it while I'm there, but I will be riding there and I'll be riding home again on the Sunday. So if you want to take a closer look at any of the modifications that I've done in my other videos, then my bike will be on the Enduristan stand for the duration of the ABR Festival in June. Fingers crossed that the COVID restrictions keep lifting so that will still go ahead. It's just after the last restrictions will be lifted. So, you know, I'm hopeful that it will take place, but we shall see. That's kind of it for this week. I'll probably do another video on Monday evening next week on the exciting subject of suspension, and what I'm looking to do for that is to pull together the list of all the different suspension units that are available both for the L and for the Rally, and then of those which one I'm probably going to fit to my bike to see how I can improve it. I'll be focusing on the suspension that caters to the heavier rider. I know that if you're probably 60 or 70 kilos in gear that the stock suspension is probably pretty good. There are some other cheaper options which will go up as high as 105 kilos, but if you're above that, which I am, and I know that several of you are, then you do need to look for something else that might make the ride a little more comfortable. So I'll try and round up as many of those. Who knows, by then I might have even ordered some of my own, but we shall see. Anyway, that's it for my Monday update. There'll be another video to follow on Wednesday, Friday and Sunday, and then I'll speak to you next Monday. Have a great week. Thanks all. Goodbye.